at the end, in the end, there's so much upheaval, yes, with nature and the all the elements, all that. But you know, human beings, nature itself, the sun scars that are coming up, and it is really trying your best not to create more negativity, and really in harmonizing. And in trying to harmonize, sometimes you wonder whether or not you're delaying certain things that will come back up, and what you must do and how do you act. And I know from a point of Baba's Gyan that the consciousness is the key. The consciousness is the key in harmonizing which way it will go, whether we will create more or we stabilize relationships in making it good ones. But coming to the end of this cycle, more and more you are seeing things that is unexpected. And for a Brahmin, we should not say it's unexpected, but because it comes back, I guess, again to expectations, you know, that we should behave a particular way, we must be a particular way. And it's really, I have this motto that I cannot fix anyone, I have to fix me. I always say that, I need to fix me. And in fixing me means getting rid of what is old and negative and re-emerging what was originally there. But there are times when the challenges is there and you feel that you should act and you're not sure whether or not you're going to be creating more or you will be settling. Because that too, I always am concerned about, of settling, just settling and not creating more karmas going forward. So at this point in my particular situation and what I am doing, where my project is concerned, things that I have to finish and tie up, it is really trying my best to be in this consciousness that it's nothing new, and settling and not creating, you know. So sometimes I'm a little bit torn and acting and what I should do, or should I let things go, that kind of thing, you know. What is the most important thing for me, I realize, is that, you know, at the end of the day, yes, relationships are important. And I see things, when it do happen, I look to see what is positive in it. And sometimes I see it as bringing me even closer to Baba, relying just on Baba, you know, being with Baba and then asking for that guidance. So throughout the day, I'm trying my best to increase that yoga, that being with Baba, but to be able to also be practical, being practical in my day-to-day activity, what is needed, when it is too much, when it's enough, but it's being able to maintain this level of peace, but not camouflaging, saying I am peaceful, and there are underlying factors that might be festering, you know? So it is trying to resolve within my own self at this point, where service is concerned, really logic relationships, allokic relationships, everything that is involved, and the way that I act, and the way that I am at this point in my life. Om Shanti. I don't know, I'm probably straight away from the topic we were talking, but you know,
okay. It's, you know, but you're touching on something which is the topic I do want to talk about today. And you raised it last week about we should think about having the pathways of waste, you know, the different avenues, the gateways of waste. So I'm journeying on that one. And then we had the Morley last Sunday, and it was I think it was it 31st December, 94, something like that. I think it might have been the New Year morning. And Ben, you might have been a BK at that time. I was about 16, I think. 16 years old at the time. So I must admit that this morally passed me by, and I hadn't remembered that Baba had set the year of 1995 as the year of being free from waste. But I really value the opportunity and the drama that now, when I'm fully grown adult and more mature, that it's coming back around it. And I got another chance to put these things into practice. So this week I've really been taking it very seriously, and I intend to take it seriously the whole of this year. So for me, this is the year where Baba was saying, do you remember we had Nalini Didi's photo about the three monkeys, the adaptation, and of course we talk about generally in the world, hear no evil, see no evil, do no evil, speak no evil, that sort of thing. Baba adds in think no evil, but excuse me, but we know from the Morales, especially the Abhyakt Morales, that for the Brahmins, waste is a big problem. And we can avoid the vices and be trapped by waste. So actually what we need to do is we need to think about, where is my energy going? So the way Baba put it was that this year, we're not going to speak any evil, any waste, you're not going to listen to any waste, and we're not going to look at any waste. Now, this week, that has helped me so much. And so what you're saying is, I've thought about it in the past as well, but how do we settle karma without creating an karma? And I used to get a little bit stressed about these things. So when I was younger, and Vika, then you will remember this, that whenever we used to go to Motherburn, you get like 10 pages of a chart or something given to you. Thursday, we used to get like charts, and it's like a booklet. And I can remember 1 or 2 years trying to fill these things in. And actually, it just made me more stressed. I had more waste thoughts about the chart than I did about not having a chart in the first place. So I found that those things, they don't help. And at that time as well, thinking about, what is it if I create bad karma? So I used to stress a lot about these things. And what helped me was once someone asked Sister Janki that does she keep a chart? And she said in her clothes, no, she doesn't find. She says she finds it useful just to read those charts, just to think about the points. But some of those charts can be really long. And you're always thinking about, well, I mustn't do this, I mustn't do that. And I think I'm now more relaxed, because what I find useful is what Baba was saying, that just these three things. I'm not going to listen to anyways. I'm not going to speak anyways. And I'm not going to look at anyone. Now, to think about creating karma, it feels a bit abstract to me. I find that hard to capture. How do I know if I'm creating karma? Even the good karma I perform, I'm not thinking about. It's like, because am I doing this? Is it why? Is it gonna? No, let me just do. Current crowd and her. I know what Baba's asking me to do in the morally. Let it just be done. I don't need to think about that. So I think similarly with the settling, for obvious things, yes, when we know we are performing sinful action, then of course we've got to check ourselves. But what you're talking about is the more subtle things, and they can be quite hard to capture. So I think my view is probably, let's stick to the waste, rather than thinking about the karma. It's easier to capture it. It's more tangible for us. So one thing that's become really clear to me, and it's my promise to myself since last Sunday, is I am not going to say anything wasteful. And often waste is connected with criticism in my experience. And I've been guilty of that in the past. I'm not going to do it anymore. So that's a firm thing. And actually, I'm approaching this, I'm going to say year, because for me, I'm adopting it as this year from now. The I'm my foundation principle is, if someone is criticizing, the opposite will be true. And I'm just keeping this very firmly in my mind. It's actually very rare that someone criticizes someone else to me, and I've got that same experience with that person. That's very unusual, actually. So, like, I've got perfectly fine relations with someone, and someone tells me that, but this person, I really like that, or really they did this, I really did something. And I had that experience twice in the last 2 weeks. It was a service program. So one of our BK sisters here, her husband had left the body last year. So it was his 1 year anniversary. And he was not a BK. And he got mainly their relatives and neighbors and other community people. And I was asked to go and be one of the BK reps, really. And then, in fact, they invited me to speak a little bit as well. Everyone was very respectful. And then one sister, she came and talked to me, and invited me to come and speak at one of her programs. So this was a community person. And then she had seen me speaking with another community leader before. And immediately she began criticizing them to me. And so it was clear she didn't want me. And then last week, we had gone to her place because she was offering it for Baba service. She's got a summer house which we could use for Baba service. So immediately she began telling me the story of how terrible these people are. But I had it very clear in my head, this principle. And then the next day, it was the morally on this as well. Right? So it was very clear in my mind. I would say in the last 6 months to 1 year, I've had lots of people telling me, and in my Lockheed family, there's a real sanskar of criticizing. So many of them, people are they're all criticizing each other. They're all good. And I just am so clear now. None of it is good. It's not even worth like giving this time, because almost always the opposite is. And so they're saying this person is actually, they're saying actually the people who are doing the good, those are the ones they will criticize. And the people who are looking after them and doing it with love, they're the ones that they criticize. And so I just don't believe it. And I think that's really helping. So rather than thinking about karma, but things I can really see. So criticism, I just do not agree. Baba said, don't speak in words. And the moral we're going to hear today is on that theme. And then what I also find now, no one really talks to me in my family, because I got this principle, you can't criticize anyone to me. So no one bothers talking to me. They got nothing to say to me, because that is what they enjoy talking. And I am not interested. And now they even know that if they do criticize, I will believe the opposite. Mm-hmm. So there's really no point talking to me. So I just told everyone in my family, you want to praise the people to me? I got all day. Come sit in my room, tell me how great it is. But you want to come and criticize anyone to me? My door's closed. I'm not interested. So I think this will reduce the burden. There was it was quite an amusing, those from a Hindu background would have found today's morally amusing because Baba was talking about the metaphors. I haven't had a moment to record yet. I will record later. And very, very famous stories of Krishna that are depicted in songs and cartoons and things is he was greedy for butter. So, I mean, it seems a real nonsense now that we know who Sri Krishna is. Like, why would he be greedy for butter? But of course, tells us it's all symbolic. And they talk about this story that his mother had to put the urns of butter high up, and they use earthenware clay pots to store this butter because they can be very cooling. And they had to tie them up so the baby couldn't reach them because he was always stealing butter. So the story is he throws the pebbles. And I mean, many of you have had children, and you know, you walk into a mess, right? You walk into, who made this mess? And they're covered in the mess, not me, man. So this is the story of Sri Krishna. And in Hinduism, they all love this mischievousness of Sri Krishna. So I think they're probably very disappointed when they actually hear what Sri Krishna is really like in the Golden Age, because the fact these stories are all about his mischievousness. But Baba explained it in a very meaningful way to us, that Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba, so Shiv Baba is of course God, Brahma Baba is the soul of Sri Krishna, so Bab Dada, they're basically throwing the pebbles at this burden, this pot of burdens on our head. And he called it the pot of poison in our head. And he's saying he comes to break that pot, and in its replacement, he puts a pot of nectar in. And I thought that was very powerful imagery, actually, and really meaningful imagery. And I think this is what this is, that what is it like? Because waste is actually the pipeline for sin, really, isn't it? That it begins often with waste thoughts and waste feelings. And then we're thinking and thinking and thinking, we're getting more and more angry. And that anger then can turn into all sorts of sinful actions. So I think actually if we're focusing on that, criticism is very much linked with negativity, isn't it? It breeds negativity. Daddy Genki used to say that criticism is like insects. You know, it just, insects breed really quick, and it will spread like a virus around. So if we can focus on the way, anyway, that's what I'm focusing on. Let me just eliminate these things. I'm not going to criticize anyone. I'm not going to listen to any criticism of them. And I'll be honest with you, I got a lot of good company in my work team, because we got our whole team. I never heard anyone criticize that. In 4 years I've been there, I've never heard no one. I got a team where no one has waste thoughts about anyone, or at least waste words, even if they got waste thought. And everyone is there's no jealousy, no rivalry, anyone progressing, everyone is pushing them forward. So maybe that's some good karma that coming my way back to me. But it helps me. So this is the lesson that Baba's trying to teach us. And yes, I haven't put up Sister Mohini's blog message. I did listen to it yesterday night. And the message that Baba's giving us is about guidance. And he's saying, I remember a few weeks ago, Sister Mohini saying that she has always appreciated Baba in the form of a guide. She's always felt she needed someone to guide her. So that's one of her main relationships with Baba. And in the message yesterday, I think maybe the US teachers are in Peace Village for their retreat. And Baba is talking about becoming the guide. So following Baba And then you yourself automatically become a guide for others, because seeing you, they get to know where they've got to go. And I think this is my experience with that work team, that actually my managers, they're very accommodating, how they work with everyone's some styles. There can be some awkward personalities. They just power to adjust. They show all these powers, and it's made me more flexible, more accommodating as well. And just to learn that there's no point having negativity about anyone, because it's unproductive. The productivity actually comes through the positivity. And so we've had a few blessings this week on good wishes for others. And the way Baba put it was that if you do this, then this year will be the year of good feelings and being the embodiment of virtue. So it emerges something within us as well. As we eliminate the waste and we eliminate the criticism, our own virtues, the ones that have been suppressed that we didn't even realize were there, they will also begin to emerge. But because we develop a normality of waste, a normality of criticism. And so it becomes so normal. If you go into community gatherings or you go into family gatherings and they're not BKs, people, it's just normal for them to talk waste and normal to criticize. So that is saying, make this the new norm for you. What's the new norm for you? And if you are like that, you are so different that you become a guide for others. You're like a beacon for others. So for us, there's great benefit because we save a lot of energy and we save a lot of time. And our yoga just becomes better through that. So some styles, as you're saying, they're very, very subtle. But I think if we can focus on the ones that we can really identify and we can check and we change those, probably many other subtle ones that have become normalized, they also just disappear. Do you want to come back on that? Or anyone else want to come in?
No, no,
Shanti.
oh, go ahead, Judy.
I don't know if this relates, but I want to say that every day when I read the Murli, I wish that I was a BK from the day I was born. Because Baba is talking a lot about insult. And I have been insulted a lot in my life, but I will remember the one principle that Baba talks about. He says, don't worry, and put a full stop. So what I'm saying is that Baba has given me such hope, has given me such courage, has fixed my mental stability. And so this is why I always feel that I wish I was a BK from the time I was born, because then I would not take all the insult that I got. Because many times you feel, my goodness, why are people saying things about you? But so what I'm saying is that I don't understand, but recently Baba is talking a lot about insult. And Baba is saying, don't come to me, like what you said last week. Don't come to me with your insults. Don't come to me with your insult. You remember Baba and put a full stop and don't worry. And this has been so very important in my life. In today's Murli, Baba is saying, talking to about Krishna. And he said on the fourth night, Krishna saw the moon. Would you be able to explain that a little bit, Brother Shailan?
Sure. So yeah, I mean, good points there, Sister Judy. And as I was hearing today's Murli, I was also remembering that point last week about the insults, because I tell you, you get no sympathy from Shiv Baba. But your point about childhood is not really the case. So we all think that it would be better if there's something else, but I was BK since I was a child. The emotional maturity still takes time. And, building the power into your emotion And maybe all those years you worked as a teacher and the family, actually your resilience can be greater, and you can then inculcate others morally earlier. But I used to get very upset with the criticism and that, but it always with me, I would have this drive that I would prove you wrong. So that, but now I moved into a different feeling, which is just that anyone criticizes me, the opposite is true. So I don't need to listen at all. The thing about what Shabbat is conveying to us is that he is actually the most insulted in the cycle. So he is just not, he's building that resilience inside of us and saying that actually some of the ways you talk to God are themselves wasteful. And so this is what we do as devotee, we just go round and around, praying about the same things and round and round. And okay, we're devotees, we don't have the morally, we don't have yoga, but actually it can be like an avoidance of what we really got to do. And we do know what we've got to do, even in bhakti, but we just want to avoid changing ourselves. So we are putting that responsibility on God to do something for us. But we can hear very clearly from Baba that he is saying to us that actually don't worry about it, because look, Brahma Baba was insulted so much. Did it really matter? Like, well, how did it stop him? And people were, at the time when Baba was speaking these morals, I think I shared this with you 1 or 2 weeks ago as well, that in places like Punjab and Calcutta, they could only get the rental tenancy for 1 month at a time because they moved into somewhere to open the somewhere. And then after those few weeks, everyone realizes this is the Brahmacumari's people, get them out. So then they had to keep shifting them. So in 1 year, there would be 10 to 12 different locations. And this is what it was like in the 1950s and 60s. This is why Baba says, and he really mainly had these mothers. He really appreciates those mothers at that time. They were the only students. He didn't listen to them. So everyone else was criticizing, people were not going. People were, obviously, when someone is criticized, it's not rarely based on facts, right? No one bothers to actually go and listen. What is the Brahmacumari? What are they actually teaching? Someone just said that they are like this, and everyone just believes that. So this is what is going on a lot. And when you're small, you're a target. So Brahmacumaris, there's only a few hundred. So then everyone is persecuting more. And we hear about these things with the religious fathers, don't we? In particular, Christ. Baba remembers Christ a lot in the morals. That look to the extent to which they insulted Christ, and then even went further than that. They even killed him. But they went to that extent to torture him. Well, how did it matter? How did it matter? He look at the size of his women. So Baba's always looking long term. But when we have waste thoughts and we are body conscious, we can only see the nose in front of our face. We are so short term. And this is why in some movies Baba says, Maya grabs hold of your nose and drags you away from Baba. And this means insight. Because all pride is symbolized by the nose, and also the short term. You can only see in front of you your nose. But actually, these insights, they will move you forward. So there's one very powerful Srimad that only now I got the strength to put into practice, and I'm trying to do that. Baba says, consider your critics to be your friend. So not only don't worry about it, but reach a point where you actually genuinely feel in your heart that the criticism is good for you and it is your friend. And of course, see, one of the things is that the more successful and powerful we become, the more difficult it can be to tolerate criticism. And Baba talks about this in the Morley as well. It comes up in the board messages that Sister Shashi brings. It comes up quite frequently in those ones. There was a whole series last year where Baba was saying that the more knowledgeful, the more powerful you're becoming. Actually, Baba is saying more I-ness, mindness. This in the last 2 weeks, it's been about comparison with others. What Baba said last week, he's repeating again in this week's now. But you're looking at what others are getting and you're thinking, I want that. And then what Baba's giving you, you can't. It's like he's put a basket of diamonds in front of you. And some children, as they're trying to grab their diamonds, it's flying away from them because they're looking away. They're looking at others. So they can't actually take the diamonds that they've got. So it's this very interesting role of criticism. And I used to get upset about criticism, but also I used to get upset about where I've been good to someone and then they are negative about me and they are critical about me. And that would hurt even more. That, I treated you so well and this is how you're treating me. And quite often the people that we are caring about the most and doing the most for, they're the least helpful. And then over the years, what I began to experience more of, people I did nothing for are the ones to help. And I learned this about the law of karma, that karma is not necessarily personal. So it's not that I help this person, that person will then help. But actually, I just go to perform the karma. Someone will help me. And so the karma sort of is an energy. It's not personal to that person. So for example, in my career, I got a place at Oxford University to do my PhD work. And the professor that helped me with everything, I still, even now, I've done nothing for it. Now, you don't know some past there could have been some karma there, but I think what it is just the karma that was good done with others. It just came back another way. Similarly, as I was mentioning to my current manager, again, I've done nothing for me. And yeah, I'm being treated very, very well. And so that has helped me over the years. So if you look how Baba's task has worked, this is what Baba's referring to this morning, that people insulted Brahmababa, but the Brahma Kumaris has now continued to grow. And Sister Jayanti has given some classes on how whenever anyone puts anything negative into Baba's task, it's like putting coal into the train. You're just adding the coal into the engine, and Baba's train moves faster. So this is the same with Christ, right? And with the religious father. The more they get insight, the more opposition, the more their religion grows. And so there's a very subtle dynamic here that's happening, that the insults are as important as the positivity for growth. And there's some Murlis where Baba makes us all laugh when he says that you are all Baba's roses, right? You're all Baba's flowers. What do roses need? They need manure. So Baba makes us laugh, but you will only grow in the manure. And you look at our farmers' fields, right? Everything we are eating is made by manure, right? So everything grows in the manure. But you would not say that the manure is negative. So actually, that is getting us to move to a mindset where we do not see negative and positive. We see the criticism. There's some Murlis where Baba talks about in Hinduism, the praise of the yogis is of being equal in everything. praise and defamation, victory and defeat, success and failure, hot and cold, etc. Everything. And why? Because they can only see benefit. There's only benefit. If someone is praising those benefits, someone is criticizing those benefits, and it's not just theoretical, but in the heart, there's the feeling, there's the attitude. It is not possible for something to be detrimental to me. And this is the stage of what Baba calls the power of knowledge and the power of will. So there's somewhere, and maybe we will repeat that more later, it'll be another good one to do. Where Baba says your mind and intellect have to become such fast machines that before negativity even enters you, you transform it. Not that you took the negativity in and then a week you're processing to get it out again, but actually don't even take it in there. And so this is where we got to get to. And probably all of our life experiences do help us with that and make us resilient, and we add in the knowledge and the yoga. And then you're quite right. One of the other famous stories of Krishna is, so again, it's connected with the butter. So Krishna is stealing this butter, and his mother has gone to, and the pot is on the floor. There's a mess everywhere. You all know what children are like, isn't it? And so then she's looking at that. Who stole the butter? And Krishna's got butter all over his mouth, and his cheeks are full. Butter. Krishna, did you eat the butter? No. And he won't. Krishna, did you eat the butter? Tell the truth to your mother. No. Open your mouth. Come on, open your mouth. And when he opens his mouth, she has a vision of the full moon. And so it's a very famous story. And another type of story, she sees the whole of the three words inside of this. So Baba explains that the soul of Brahma Baba, he has now become 16 celestial degrees of full moon. He's become complete. And so this soul, he is the full moon. Because out of all of us, this is the soul that is the most like God. And so Sri Krishna, if we could imagine what Shiv Baba would be like if he had a body, it would be Sri Krishna. So this is the closest in a physical thing that we would get to the fullness of Shiv Baba. And so this is why it's symbolized by the full moon. And of course, full moon is very significant in Hinduism for festivals. I mean, like Krishna's birth was in a full moon. Right? There will be many festivals and fasting and things at that time. The story of the true Narayan that Baba refers to in the Morgan, that's also linked with the full moon. So there's this symbolism. And then the other one is saying the whole three words. So this angel Brahma, he is like practiced being in the soul world, like this practice of the yoga. He's now free, isn't he? He's an angel, the perfect angel, is even beyond the body. So he's become double light. So Baba is teaching us to master even the subtle words, as well as in the golden age becoming the master of the physical world as well. And only the deities are the masters of the whole world. After the Copper Age, people only rule empires and kingdoms. No one rules the whole. It's only the Sun dynasty and the Moon dynasty. And just like we were talking about nature at the beginning, one of the qualities of nature is no borders. So in the Golden Age, there's no borders. You're the master of the whole world. And so everything is ours, the whole of nature, the whole of everything, all of the resources. So this is now one of my big aims, and I think I'm probably now at a point where I can inculcate this teaching. Consider the critics to be your friend. Excellent. Ambika, then, did you want to come in?
Not really. I agree with, with Judy saying also, these insults that you have, but it really helps you to grow. Fortunately in my life, my working life, people never came to me with criticism because I was always the last ready to know, because I will not promote a conversation when it comes to someone saying something about somebody else. I will always say, let that person come and say. But what I've realized within, well, not realized, but what I know even within realizing the importance of how we carry about ourselves. Even Sister Jayanti recently too, again, in one of her classes, was saying that, how we speak with people, how we carry about ourselves represents the organization. And when we say something negative, that because stays with us, no matter how many good we would have done, that the negative always comes back to the surface. And when we say things, or outside people locate people allocate, it is the organization. I've always had this thing is that it represents the organization and how important it is not to leave a negative impression, because I see that also as karmas being accumulated when there's defamation. Even if somebody is innocently saying something because they're not aware of what the organization is, they identify us with the organization. And so it comes like a stain in their mind against the Yagya. And I see that as accumulating negative karmas in the person's account. So yes, can have insults, and I think there's an awareness. Yes, do I want to create more because it's for me and my karmas, or is it also bringing this defamation of the yagya? And I am always very careful with that in how I respond. But in also doing that, and being careful how you respond, do we sometimes leave things because you don't want to create more, and you just leave it alone and it doesn't go away? It takes a while before it goes away. Or do we act? And as I'm saying this, I'm now really thinking that it really has to do with the pure consciousness and the pure feelings of wanting to make things right, to let things be right, and with pure intentions is really will not create, So it's only as I'm saying this is the way I do believe really it should be handled. It comes back down behind every thought or every word, the intention that is behind it. Papa often says that too, it is always the intention. So whatever we do is either going to create positive or negative. And as you're saying, brother, I quite agree. Sometimes I concentrate a lot where karma is concerned. Coming into Baba's knowledge, karma philosophy has always been a big thing for me. And also knowing Baba and karma philosophy, those two areas. And I've always tried to be careful when my words are concerned. So, but sometimes the thoughts might be in a little bit of upheaval. I do not bring it into words, but I'm recognizing and realizing more and more really that is this awareness that I always have to have with me. Not just who I am, but what I represent as well. That I should be particularly careful in how I carry about myself, but being mindful that I am not keeping things inside, that it becomes an issue and it blows up later on. And I don't think I have that really. There are minor things that sometimes I do keep inside. But basically, I do feel that whatever is there may come in the surface at times, but because I am mindful of who I am, I think it is what who I am, and understanding the power of not just your words as a Brahmin, but your thoughts as a Brahmin, how it impacts upon where it is ever directed to. I have seen that in a practical way, that whatever I say and where my thoughts are directed and my words are directed to, there's power in it, whether it's positive or negative. And for Brahmins, I think it's always to be reminded of that. You know, a Brahmin is not an ordinary soul. You know, I've always recognized, I've always said that with the utmost humility, a Brahmin needs to recognize their power and who they are. You know, so that I'm saying, you know, I'm also now finding solutions within myself as I am also speaking, because it is there and it comes up, you know. So sometimes we raise things, and I guess we raise things for a particular reason, but you know, but all the knowledge is really there. All the knowledge, and what is important is really to use Baba's knowledge, not to just have the knowledge, use the knowledge and bring it into our power. Let the knowledge becomes power for all of us. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Ambika is so right in what she's saying, because Baba talks about calming the storm that is around you. You can do that yourself, because even Sister Gita was saying that sometimes in the centers there's a lot of conflict going on, but with your mind control, you can calm the waters that's around you. You can make peace, not by your words, but by the power of your mind, because you are a special, we are all special souls. And so when there is that kind of conflict that brings on aggression or whatever it is, you can calm that storm. Baba is telling us that we are special souls, and so we can do that ourselves. Om Shanti.
Thank you both. Would anyone else like to say anything?
Shanti. You know, I'm listening to this conversation, and it's such a rich and rewarding conversation this morning. But in my mind, I'm saying defeat is just as important as success, because we need the defeat. Like you said, we need to experience failure. We need to experience sorrow before we know what happiness is. And in this sorrow is where you learn your greatest lessons, is where you build your strength. And you did say that really beautifully. And I believe that totally. If we did not have sorrow in this life, we will not reach for God. We will not want anything. We will not, we will just be contented with just mundane world. And the sorrow is what makes us say, God, where are you? And then you go to the path that you're meant to go to. So this is a really rich conversation this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you, Shanti.
Yes, you're right. And one thing by the comments and in the Murli is the deities don't remember that. So when we are happy, we don't remember that. We don't think that. And in the praise of the deities in Hinduism, Baba says that they say, you are complete with all virtues, 16 celestial degrees, completely non-violent, like that. But one praise that doesn't come for them is complete with the 8 powers. And Baba says it's only at confluence age that you become a master or mighty authority. We don't use this praise in the golden. And because the 8 powers are linked with adversity. And so at the confluence age, Baba says the Brahmins are actually achieving something much more. The deities are still coming down the staircase, and they are not really like doing anything as such. It's not really like removing sorrow, serving others, helping, but it's actually the achievement of the Brahmins now. But can you live in the irony and resist the vices? Can you live in the Iron Age and eliminate the rest? Can you live in the Iron Age and accommodate and adjust and cooperate and learn to control your mind? And discernment and good decision making can be so difficult in the Iron Age. It can be such uncertainty. So the Brahmins who are doing it now, Baba appreciates it. We hear that all the time in the morals, don't we? And we hear it in the world messages now. Why is Baba giving so much love, so much support? Baba doesn't just create Brahmins and then leave us. Right? It's just sustenance and sustenance and sustenance. Because to be a BK is an act of great courage. And it's easier just to go with the flow, isn't it? Just be part of the Iron Age and you fit in with everyone else and we're no different to anyone else. And it's just sort of ordinary, but you're challenging Maya, you're challenging the norms of everyone else. That takes the 8 powers. And those 8 powers, they do not come without adversity. And they also, I've been talking recently a lot about the importance of testing something. But why would you trust anything that isn't tested? Why would you use it? You just wouldn't. You wouldn't eat it. You wouldn't use it. Nothing that's tested is reliable. Nothing that's untested is reliable. So what that is saying to us is this testing period is the important. And it's that turns you into an angel. It's that which turns you into a deity. That's the result after. It's like the car that's in the showroom. But the actual work was in making the car. The car, once it's made, you just sit in it and you go, which driver knows the inside of their car? Like you just sit in the car and you drive the car. So once something is made, it's just made. But the effort is in the making. And that's what the Brahman life is about. So Ranjaben is here. Let's listen to a morally, and then it'll give us some further things to think. I'll hand over to him. Just like to the briefing. It's not that long.
Om Shanti. Good morning to all.
Om Shanti. Good morning, sister.
I'll start with it's fairly long, Murli. It's the Murli of 13th December 1995. 13/12/95. Become free from speaking wasteful words and words that disturb others, and be economical with your word. Become free from speaking wasteful words and words that disturb others, and be economical with your word. Today, together with all of you children here, Bap Dada is seeing the souls in all directions. Children from all 4 directions are in their subtle forms in front of Bap Dada. Baba is seeing the double gathering, the physical and the subtle gathering. Both the gatherings are so huge, and Bap Dada is happy seeing the children of both the gatherings, because Baba sees all children in two special forms. One is that each child is an ancestor of all human souls. You are the foundation of entire tree because the entire tree emerges from the roots. And secondly, elders are called the ancestors. As well as this, you Brahmin souls are the first creation of the highest on high Father. So here I remember one brother, somebody told him, "You are old." And he was offended, he wasn't happy. And he must have told other brother, that this person is calling me old. And then the brother asked Daddy, and Daddy said he should be happy because old means like Baba said here. So don't be offended when Baba says that. Secondly, elders, in our family, elders, we call our ancestors. And we always go to take advice or blessings to our elders. So that's what Daddy means, that they come in the beginning of the cycle, so BMC. And so it's so Baba, that's why Baba says that one is that each child is an ancestor of all human souls. You are the foundation of the entire tree because the entire tree emerges from the roots. And secondly, elders are called the ancestors. And especially in the evening yoga, Baba always says, sit in front of a tree, kalpa tree, and, the roots, and then to serve the world and that consciousness of being ancestors. Okay. So it's a yoga and self-respect according to the day, time of the things. The evening especially is the ancestors, so it's going around, feeling around. People say the angels, they flow, giving them Sakash. So as well as this, you Brahmin souls are the first creation of the highest on high Father. Therefore, just as God is the highest on high, so too you are the greatest of all ancestors. And so Baba is happy to see so many ancestor children. You are also happy knowing that you are the ancestors, aren't you? Do you maintain this faith and intoxication? Do those at the back maintain this? Those sitting in Madhuban, in Baba's meeting at the back? So Baba is asking them, acknowledging them and asking them, do you maintain this faith and intoxication? Do those at the back maintain this? So today, Bap Dada is seeing the gathering of ancestors. All of you are the Father's children and you are also safe. To be a child means to belong to the Father. That is to be his child, and so you are safe from Maya. Those who are safe from Maya become Baba's children. So all of you are saved from Maya, are you not? It is said there are many ways to free yourself from a vicious circle. So none of you are going to be, so Baba is in the bracket, or do you sometimes come into the spinning of Maya? First, Baba said, because you are Baba's children, so all of you are saved from Maya. Are you not? Or do you sometimes come into the spinning of Maya? There Baba is saying, it is said, there are many ways to free yourself from a vicious circle. So none of you are going to be trapped by Maya's vicious circle, are you? Is there any spinning? Are you safe from there? Speak loudly. It shouldn't be that you say Haji while you are here, that is in Madhuban, in front of Baba, and then when you return, you say Naji. Once you have learned the art of removing yourself from this spinning, there is no question of being trapped. You know Maya very well, don't you? Or do you become ignorant at times? Then you say that you didn't realize that it was Maya. Nowadays, the fashion is to put on a different face, you know, so many types of face masks. Nowadays, there are face painting, and now it's even more increased here. There is a program having lot of face fashion or face. So Baba is talking about masks and different face painting. 1 minute they will be one thing, and the next minute they will be something else. Maya has a very good, huge show. She adopts whatever form she wants at any time. And if you knowingly or unknowingly get trapped in that, it will take you a long time to extricate yourself from that. So, to free yourself. Here it says extricate yourself from that. To waste 1 second of the confluence age means to waste 1 year. So a few months ago, Baba said 1 second is worth 1 year. Today, Baba is saying today means to waste 1 year. Not just 1 second. Just think how short the confluence age is. You will now be celebrating the Diamond Jubilee. So 1996 was going to be Diamond Jubilee year. And so everybody was preparing, all the centers were making plans. So Baba is reminding us that you will now be celebrating the Diamond Jubilee, and whatever you want to become, however much you want to accumulate in this short time, you can become that now. So Bap Dada was seeing that there is such a short time to become this, and that you become this for the entire Kalpa. There is such a huge difference between 5,000 years and 60 years. Okay, it doesn't matter how much more time there is, but at least it is not in the region of thousands of years, because 1936 up to 1996, it will be 60 years. This is what Baba means by 60 years. This Diamond Jubilee. You may claim the kingdom in Satyu or become part of the royal family. As not everyone would get the throne of the kingdom of the world. Okay, Lakshmi and Narayan, the first, would be seated on the throne, but their family also receives just as much love and regard. So if you become part of the royal family of the first kingdom, that is also like the first number. You may not be seated on the throne, but your reward is in terms of the first number. Even in football, their first division, and there's so much importance even outside world. Baba is reminding us. Otherwise, not all of you would receive the throne, even until the silver age. However, all of you have the aim of becoming world sovereign. You do have this aim, don't you? Or will you become a king of one of the states here also? So to have the reward of the first number also requires, what do you think Baba said? Not that what do we require in order, or will you be?
Number one effort.
No. So to have the reward of the first number also requires elevated effort. Even when you are studying, we advise the children to study hard to have elevated number A over A plus, even higher than that. Some receive the throne and some become part of the royal family. There is deep significance in this also. At the confluence, it is those who constantly and naturally remain seated on the heart throne of the Father. Not just sometimes. Remember, Baba has been reminding us of this word sometimes. Baba does not like that at all. So Baba is saying that at the confluence age, it is those who constantly and naturally remain seated on the heart throne of the Father, not just sometimes, but it is those from the beginning until the end, even in their dreams and thoughts, who maintain their vow of purity, who have not touched impurity even in their dreams. It is such elevated soul who can be seated on the heart throne. We are having obvious signal, and it is seated on the seat of self-respect and being. So Baba, but this is Baba's heart throne. Baba is talking about only those who have claimed good marks in all 4 subjects and have passed with a good number from the beginning until the end are said to have passed with honor. Not that you claim less marks now and again and then have to catch up, but it is only those who from the beginning have done everything that the Father likes who can claim the throne. As well as this, those who are loved by everyone in the Brahmin family, who cooperate with everyone, who receive regard from the heart of everyone of the Brahmin family. It is those who have won such regard who can claim the throne. If you are lacking in these aspects in one way or another, then it is possible that you become part of the royal family. But number 1, the Baba was talking that if you want to claim a throne, then it has to be constant from the beginning. But still, to come into royal family, there's still chance. as well as those who are loved by everyone in the Brahmin family, who cooperate with everyone, who receive the regard from the heart of everyone of the Brahmin family. It is those who have won such regard who can claim the throne. If you are lacking in this aspect in one way or another, then it is possible that you become part of the royal family. But number one, you can come in the first number, the 8, or in the silver age. If you want to be seated on the throne, check yourself in these aspects. Baba,
Can you just read that line again?
yeah, because Baba the 2 weeks ago said, do not be in do not be disheartened, but make your first, one of the movies we read, oh, it's a blessing. But I read this again now. It is from, it's from,
Just the last sentence.
if you are lacking in these aspects, about cooperation, though, in one way or another, then it is possible that you become part of the royal family. But number-wise, you can come in the first number, the 8, or in the silver age. If you want to be seated on the throne, check yourself in these aspects. So checking. All right. What would happen if you have accumulated 100 marks in service, but only 25 marks in your dharana? Remember in the above paragraph, Baba mentioned all 4 subjects. So now Baba is saying that what would happen if you have accumulated 100 marks in service, but only 25 marks in your dharana, inculcation? Would such a soul claim a throne? Many children go ahead in other subjects, but to be real gold is to be able to mold yourself according to the time, to your dharana. Real gold means to be able to mold according to time, to your dharana, inculcation, reviving and becoming the form. Sometimes Maya becomes even cleverer than the children. She instantly adopts a form according to the time. And what do the children then say? Baba gets to hear of everyone. The children say that one person is wrong and the other one is right. It also happens that sometimes both sides may be missing something. However, if, for instance, you consider yourself to be absolutely right, and even if the other one is absolutely wrong, and you even understand it, then since you are right and the other one is wrong, then according to the time and the atmosphere, even though you are right, you may have to, which power of the of one of the 8 power, accommodation. So Baba is saying that you know you're right, Baba knows you're right. But Baba says, and the other one is wrong. Then according to the time and the atmosphere, even though you're right, you may have to accommodate something within yourself. You may have to die. You may have to step away. But what do children say? Is it always I who have to bow down in every situation? Is it that I am here for dying for others and the others are there for enjoying themselves? I always have to die. It is very difficult to die in this way, means die alive. They detach and humble. In the discussion, we just mentioned humility. You have died a living death, and that is easy. You have become a Brahma Kumar or Brahma Kumari, and so you have died alive. This dying has been very easy. You died and you became a beacon. But to die again and again in this way is very difficult. It is difficult, isn't it? The young ones say that they have to die a lot, and the older ones say that they have to listen to a lot. So you have to tolerate a lot, and they have to listen to a lot. And so who has to die? Who should die? Should one die? Should both die? Who should die? Should one die or should both die? Should both die? Baba asked again. All these were questions. So you must have thought of an answer in your mind. So what do you think Baba would say? Then the whole Baba said, should one die or should both die? Baba asked again, should both die? Now Baba says, then the whole game would be finished. If both of you die, then the situation is resolved. The game is finished. So, do you know how to die? Or do you find it difficult to die? What do you, there's a teaching, isn't there? There's a teaching in this.
In India, this is an expression, it's a way of speaking. But I have to die all the time, that's a way of speaking. But that is saying, yes, you have to die from your ego.
Yeah. Become humble. I mean, you don't have to pay. You know, here also says, you don't have to pay anything. You see, what does it say?
It costs you nothing.
Cost you nothing. To be humble or just to be, you know, set aside. So, but Baba here says, if you both have died, then it is resolved. So, Baba is pointing out that why do that sensible one would just take from me and listen to Baba. That's what means. Then you only have a little, the game is finished. So do you know how to die? Or do you find it difficult to die? When you only have a little breath, you are breathless and you are not even able to breathe. Then there is difficulty, isn't there? At that time you say, is it always I who have to die? I who have to change? Is it just my responsibility to change? Others also have this responsibility. You have to share it between yourselves. You die to this extent and I will die to this extent. At that time, Bap Dada also feels mercy. But this dying is not dying. Means what Baba means. That is the choice, whether you want to go into silence and be with Baba, or you want to argue and become breathless. And the other one is also returning the response like that. And so Baba is pointing out the choices here, what you should do, what you want to do. So at that time, Bap Dada also feels mercy. But this dying is not dying, Baba said. This dying is to live for all time. People say that you can't go to heaven without dying. They do say this, don't they? Anyway, you don't go to heaven through death dying, means in a physical, in a practical way, leave the body. Here means just you are detached and following Baba's Srimad, not to say anything, and just make your state and give them good wishes rather than thinking and tolerating. So Baba says that you can't. Anyway, you don't go to heaven through that dying, but through this dying, you will definitely claim a right to heaven. Therefore, to die in this way means to claim a right to heaven. So Baba is teaching the dharana of imbibing the virtues of deities now and then. In future, you will go to heaven. When you become afraid, thinking that you will have to die, that you will have to tolerate a great deal, that a little thing becomes something huge. For instance, although there may not be any thug or thieves around, when you have the fear in yourself that there is a thief around, what happens? Because of that fear, so if you have a fear, even if there is nothing to fear about, if there is a fear that there is a thief around, what happens because of that fear? Because of fear, either your heartbeat will fluctuate or your blood pressure will fluctuate. This does happen, doesn't it? Where are the doctors? This happens because of fear, doesn't it? So Baba was looking in the Baba's children who are, doctors from the hospital, global hospital, and other doctors might have come to see Baba. So Baba is talking about those doctors who are there. So Baba is asking, Baba is asking those doctors that isn't is that heart and blood pressure fluctuates, and then Baba is asking, this does happen, doesn't it? Where are the doctors? Baba wanted to ask the doctors who were present in front of him. This happens because of fear, doesn't it? You become afraid, and so the dying is not a big thing, but your fear makes something little into something huge. Then you say, I don't know what happened to me. I don't know. However, just as you didn't have any fear in dying alive, but had courage, and you died with great happiness, in the same way, don't use the word die, but it is bringing about transformation with great happiness. Because the words to die are used, you become afraid. So Baba says, use the word transformation. Transformation of the world through transformation of the self. We say that it's the slogan Baba is reminding. So don't use the word die, because then there is a fear. In fact, this is not dying, but claiming good number in the subject of dharana. That Baba says, but it is bringing about transformation with great happiness. Because the words to die are used, you become afraid. In fact, this is not dying, but claiming a good number in the subject of dharana. Do not be afraid in having to tolerate anything. Why do you become afraid? Is it because you feel, why should I tolerate something that is not true? Why should I tolerate something wrong? But who gave you the order to tolerate? Did the one who told lies give you these orders? So Baba is reminding that, check yourself, are you following the Srimad, or are you following the dictates of others? in front of you who told you wrong, who was wrong, or your own manmat, dictates of your mind, or your old sanskar. So Baba says, but who gave you the order to tolerate? Did the one who told lies give you this order? Very many children do tolerate, but there is a difference in tolerating out of compulsion and tolerating out of, what do you think the opposite of that? Love. Baba says love. So there is a difference out of compulsion and out of love. You are not tolerating because of the situation, but it is Baba's direction. Be tolerant. So love for Baba and love for Prima. Be tolerant. So to accept the Father's direction is accepting God's direction, and so is that a matter of happiness or compulsion? Sometimes you do tolerate, but it is mixed. There is love as well as compulsion. Since you are tolerating, then tolerate with happiness. Why should you do it out of compulsion? When that person comes in front of you, you feel it to be compulsion, but you are following the Father's orders. What would it feel like if the Father came in front of you instead? Would it feel like compulsion or love? So don't think of these words. What is Baba teaching here?
That you're doing it for Baba and for yourself, not for the other person.
And yesterday we were watching Objective, it was on a Thursday, Chit Chat Waste-free. It is really good. It's Mama's month, and they are saying and sharing, all the ancestors who are sharing, those who have been Tadi Prakashini yesterday was sharing about how Mama and somebody. So if you time watch that, it was good on it. It was on this. So nowadays, Baba says, it has become a little common. I will have to die. I will have to die. How much will I still have to die? Till the end. For 2 years, 1 year, 6 months. So Baba has observed that amongst the Brahmins, nowadays it has become a little common. And their thoughts, they are in inverted commas, is I will have to die. I will have to die. How much will I still have to die? Till the end, or for 2 years, 1 year, or 6 months. Then it is okay. So let me die. How much more do I have to die? This dying is not dying, but asking for your rights. So Baba is pointing out that this question shouldn't arise. This is to start claiming your rights. So what will you do? Will you die? So do not die. Finish the usage of the word to die. Because you think of the word dying, there will of course be fear of dying, let alone your own death. Some even become afraid when they see someone else's death. So stop using this word. Do not speak such words. Speak auspicious words. These words do not exist in the Brahmin dictionary. Quite a few words, Baba says, even this word, difficult, I don't know, sometimes there are lots of words like that. Baba doesn't says this should not be in the Brahmin dictionary. No one knows who invented these words. It must have been someone from amongst you. Among you does not only mean those who are sitting in front of Baba, not just you, but the Brahmins. Bap Dada has seen many times, for this was just an example, that there are many such wasteful words spoken which you speak jokingly throughout the day. They will not speak good words. They won't even say that it wasn't their intention, but that they just said it jokingly for the sake of it. So it's such fun making a discipline in your Brahmin life. It is not written anywhere. Have you ever read anywhere that you can make fun? Have fun, but let it be Gyan Yuk. And you for making fun which you regard as fun would spoil someone else's day. So is that fun of causing someone's sorrow? That's clear,
No, I think it's clear.
no? So today, Bap Dada saw that everyone is an ancestor, and secondly, you are the greatest of all, worthy to be worshipped souls. No one else is worshipped in the same way as you are worshipped throughout the Kalpa. So you are the ancestors and also worship worthy. However, you are worship worthy number wise. Those who become Brahmin, who belong with the Father, are definitely worshipped. But some are worshipped accurately according to the system, whereas others are worshipped just in name sake. So what is it when Brahmins sit here in yoga? Is it just in namesake, clipping sometimes, having yoga sometimes, having a few waste thoughts and a few good thoughts? That is just namesake, isn't it? Once the white light is switched on, the job is finished. There are many who have dharna just for namesake also. When any such circumstance arises, they would say, let it continue in this way for now, and we will see about it later. Such souls would just be worshipped in name sake. Just these, they create hundreds of thousands of saligrams. But what happened? Is that accurate worship according to the system? That is just in name sake. They weighed them, the saligrams, with a hose pipe, and the Pandit applied tilak with a little bowl of tilak paste. They just sprinkle it over the saligram, and the tilak is applied. So what is this? This is also namesake. There's a temple in going towards Jammu Kashmir, towards Kashmir, and there's a temple there with Sarigram, and this is how they worship. Like it's in a nursery of plants, flowers. So they go and they just with delicate plants. And so Baba said the worship of souls is just do for the sake of it. Namesake will be worshipped like that. And also I've seen the priests in gathering, big gathering, and he will sprinkle, he will water down the the red color It's auspicious color. And then just sprinkle to everybody. So all of you become worthy, worship worthy. But how you are worshipped is number wise. That's why Baba is pointing out it's up to each one. How do you want to be worshipped in the future, from proper copper age onward, when the bhakti will start. So all of you become worship worthy, but how you are worshipped is number one. For some, their every action is worship. Even when brushing their teeth, it is as though a vision is being given. When you go to Mathura, that is near Agra, where Taj Mahal is, that way Mathura is something. Mathura, Agra and Vrindavan. They even, when you go to Mathura, they even give you a view of the idols having their teeth brushed, that now it is time to brush their teeth. So do not become one who just does everything in namesake. Otherwise, you will be worshipped accordingly. And in Rajasthan, near it's a close one. When near Srinath, yeah, but it's near the pink city, the Jaipur, and near there. Srinath is, Baba mentioned, they have pure ghee, pure butter, whereas in Jagannath they have only rice. It's like a sign of being poor and being rich. So Srinath, it's Baba's, it's every moment, like teeth, everything. It's Baba is describing Srinath. What do the teachers think? You sit at the front, and so do you wish to claim a number ahead also, or do you wish just to sit at the front? You also wish to claim a number, don't you? Do not claim any less. So here, Baba is pointing out, I know beginning when I went, when you have to sit right at the bed and you start to have feeling, because you can't see, but you see Baba is pointing out wherever you see Baba is looking at you, giving you what is right, but it's up to us how to. So here Baba is pointing out the teacher. You sit at the front, and so do you wish to claim a number ahead also, or do you wish just to sit at the front? You also wish to claim a number, don't you? Do not claim any less. Have the intoxication that you are the ancestors and the worship-worthy souls. So it's our consciousness and dharana Baba is looking at wherever we sit. The greater you are, the more responsibility you have. To become big is not just something to be happy about, but since you have a big name, you must perform a big task. Are all the teachers happy? Is everyone happy? Or do you still have some desire in your mind? If there is any desire, it will not allow you to become good. Either fulfill your desire or become good. It is in your hands. It has been seen that desires are like walking in the sun. So, there are shadows. So Baba is explaining the meaning. There is a meaning of the shadows. When you see yourself walking in the sun, your shadow will go ahead of you. And if you try to catch hold of it, would you be able to do it? And when you turn back, where would the shadow go? It would follow you. So desires are something that attract you to themselves and make you cry. Whereas when you let go of desires, they come following you. So our Baba often says in some murlis that the phrase at the end is that the deities have no desires. They are totally ignorant of what the desires are. Means they have no desire at all. That is dying alive from this world, this body, Baba has been saying in Sakar movies and so no desire. Like Panatha Sopalia, yesterday's song was there, dear Betty, we are playing everything from Baba. There's no, I don't need anything else. No desire. Baba is reminding us that. So that is the shadow at the back. Shadow at the front, no matter how much we start to chase them, you can never catch even a ghost, isn't it? Something like that. So Baba has given that examples. Those who beg can never become complete. You may not ask for anything else. You may not say anything else, but you beg a lot in a royal way. You do know what the royal form of begging is. Do you not? Do you know what it is? Do the new ones know what it is? That you earn a temporary name for yourself, that you are given some regard, that your name is listed with a special soul, that you are counted among the senior brothers, that you are counted amongst the senior sisters, even that you should be given a chance. But whilst you are a beggar, you cannot become complete with the treasures of happiness. To chase after your desires or the things that you ask for is like chasing after a mirage. Constantly keep yourself safe from this. You know, last 2 Sundays, Baba has been talking about these movies about I should be recognized and all that things. So I do so much, etc. So Baba has reminded us. It is not a bad thing to remain a junior. The young ones are equal to God. In Hindi, it says Chota Subhan Allah. It's a Urdu, isn't it? Or Arabic. Chota Subhan Allah. That even a child even is equal to God. It is not a bad thing to remain a junior. The young ones are equal to God because they have claimed a number ahead in Baptada's heart. You must have experienced whether temporary desires make you cry or laugh. They make you cry, don't they? It is Ravan's order for you to be made to cry. But you belong to the Father. And so would the Father make you laugh or cry? Today, Baptada is specially drawing your attention to. You remember the heading, when we first started, Baba? Today's
Wasteful stuff, wasteful words,
yeah.
words that disturb others,
So Baba is
and be
reminding-
economical with the world.
Yeah. Today, Baba is especially drawing your attention to wasteful words which no one likes. If you like them, but others don't like them, then stop using those words for all time. If Baptada were to note the children's words throughout the day, it would be a huge file. These words are bad words, wasteful words, or speaking loudly. In fact, speaking loudly is to disturb others. Don't say. What do you think Baba has said? Don't say. Means don't make an excuse. Go and protect yourself by saying, my voice is like that. You can become the conquerors of Maya, and yet You can't become the conqueror of your own voice. Baba is surprised. So don't speak wasteful words or words that disturb others. You may have had conversations with someone of just a few words, but you would continue to speak about that for another half an hour. You speak too many words then. If you can do something by just speaking 4 words, then don't speak 12 to 15 words. You have a slogan. Do you remember slogan? In the beginning, there were lots of, and here in UK, in London, everybody was so intoxicated, they would have it on their doors and their cars, they would put out because they were so intoxicated that others would give a message. Speak less and speak softly. Those who say that their voice is loud, that they don't want to speak loudly, but their voice is like that, they should put the slogan around, what would Baba say, their necks, where it is the necklace. But what happens instead? You may speak in your own intoxication, but when those who pass by you and don't know that your voice is like that, it appears to them, and so you are quarreling. And so that is also this service. So it is a this service. So Baba is giving you today's lesson. Liberate yourself from wasteful words and words that disturb others. Become free from speaking wasteful words. Then you will receive a lot of help in becoming an awake angel. You just continue to speak so many words. So many words. Baba said it once. If Bab Dada were to record a cassette and play it to you, even you would laugh at it. So what lesson did you make firm? Be economical in this. Have value for your work. For the Mahatma, great soul, it is said, whatever they speak turns out to be true. So, too, your versions should be the same. That is, they should give one or another attainment. People go for blessings and because they have so much faith that their words are becoming true. This is why Baba is saying, so too your versions. Baba has looked at us with great elevated vision, and so Baba is saying, so too your versions should be the same. That is, they should give one or another attainment. Sometimes while smoking along, you jokingly say, this one is mad. You see, this is another word. This one is senseless. There are many such words which Bap Dada has forgotten for the moment, but he does hear them. For Brahmins to speak such words is like forecasting the truth, but in fact, you are cursing them. You are not blessing. Instead of blessing, it is a curse for them. Because our words, Baba says, are so valuable. Do not curse anyone. Give happiness. Speak yukti-yukt word. Useful word. Not wasteful words. Check yourself for 1 hour. Just as you are now moving along, and after 1 hour, you start to speak, and then check yourself as to how many wasteful words And how many truthful words you spoke in 1 hour.
Like I was saying at the beginning, anyone criticizes, it's the true thing in the opposite. Their criticism is always false. The Baba is also drawing this contrast that check ourselves. So we'll stop there. And this is a good homework for us to do this week. Baba was saying, check every hour. What did you say in that previous hour? If you said anything wasteful, it's false. And only the things you said that were positive, they are true. And so let's check ourselves. The words that are wasteful, that disturb others, and be economical with our words. And then it will develop the power to bless others. So when you actually, if you economize, you conserve the energy, then when you actually say something positive, it will begin to come true. So very powerful teachings for all of us. And by the saying that only such words, only such souls who eliminate waste, they can be part of Krishna's fun in the future. So this is an indicator. The souls who've eliminated, they become those souls in the future. Okay, does anyone have any final reflections before we start?
Shanti, I enjoyed this Murli so much this morning, and it's so relevant to life. So it was, the whole discussion today was just profound, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would only like to add, Baba often talks of this destination. It's a high destination. It's not like going to your auntie's home. And I'm reminded today when Baba said to remain on Baba's heart throne, how important it is to have purity in everything. Purity in your words, thoughts, and your dharana, everything. And maintaining that purity really is what keeps you there and keeps you into the royal family. So to maintain this heart throne really is, for me, I need some work.
Yeah, that was actually proclaiming the throne. So, not just the royal family, but to actually sit on that throne of Lakshmi and Narayan, to win Mama and Baba's throne. This is because Shiv Baba's main value is purity. So this is why that's his heart, that's his core. So we come closer to him as we inculcate that as well. And it shows us why Baba keeps saying that you've got to develop your constant remembrance, because without the constant remembrance, we're not going to be able to be constantly free from waste and impurity. And then we can't claim the heart way. So the remembrance is the method. Thank you all. Judy Ben, you wanted to come in? No. It's okay.
Can I ask Ambika Ben? I'm curious. Ambika Ben, what time is it there? Because I keep on hearing the birds and the cuckoo.
It's now 8:09 a.m.
Yeah, I heard it, and it's about 1:15 here in the afternoon. That's time is difference in the time, and I thought, let me ask.
Yeah, so we get on at 6 a.m. Trinidad time.
Cockerel is a good example of wasteful words, because cockerels just walk around as if they're the boss of everything. Cockerel. Yeah, no one is listening. It's not just like they wake
Thank you so
up
much, Brother Shannon. It's always such a pleasure to listen to you.
and-
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, sister.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I went
Thank you.
body conscious.
Thank you.
Shanti, goodbye. Have a beautiful rest of the week. Thank you so much.
Have a good week, everyone. Om Shanti.
Bye-bye.
Shanti.